Okay, this is take two. I have no intention of starting a podcast, and this is not something that I want to do. I would like to focus on film. However, recently I've been watching a lot of these videos where people just go on camera and say whatever is on their mind. And for some reason, I find that so interesting because each of us have so much input and so much insight, and it's really interesting. Anyways, today's topic is blueberry scones. The other day, I was at this bakery, and one thing about me is that I like pastries a lot. I do like sweets a lot. I have a big sweet tooth, and if everything was salty, then I'll probably be the skinniest man alive. But fortunately, there are sweet things that exist. And so I was at that bakery, and I don't know, I was planning on getting a Boston cream donut, but at the same time, I did want to try something new. One thing that caught my eye at that bakery was this very vibrant blueberry scone. When I approached that blueberry scone, it almost seemed inedible because of how uncanny its blueness was. I stood there for like 5 minutes or so until I was approached by one of the workers, and they asked me if I needed any help, and I was like, "Oh, is this edible? Is this normal? Like, do blueberry scones look like that?" And then the worker was like, "Yeah, you could totally buy it and try it. That's just the way we bake them." But anyways, I guess I fell for consumerism that day, and I did buy that scone. I expected that scone to change my perception of what scones are like. However, that didn't prove to be true, because as soon as I took the bite out of that scone, I was overwhelmed by this feeling of being underwhelmed because it was so freaking dry on the inside. Most of the time you have these people that be doing too much and trying to like show people that they have it all and whatnot, but at the end of the day, what's really on the inside? Like, what type of scone are you on the inside? It also reminded me of this movie that I was watching the other day, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Although I find it hard for me to like Wes Anderson films, oftentimes it's very symmetric, it gives me a headache. Fantastic Mr. Fox is one of those movies that had really caught my attention. The idea of Fantastic Mr. Fox, the premise of that movie is that there is this main protagonist called Mr. Fox, and his whole objective is to get himself out of the hole. He says to his wife, "I don't want to live in a hole anymore." But what's so ironic about that movie is that all throughout of the movie, Mr. Fox tries to get himself out of that hole that he lived in with his family, only to find himself in a deeper hole by the end of this movie. Sometimes we're exactly where we need to be, regardless of whether we like it or not. And this is something that I've been kind of coming to terms with as I've been adapting to my first year in university. When I was back home, for example, all I could think about was that, oh, I can't wait to go to university. I can't wait to do this and do that and meet all these people. But at the same time, when I came here, I realized that I'm thinking about the same things right now. I can't wait to start a real job. I can't wait to start real connections. I can't wait to do real feature films or real court cases and whatever. All throughout of high school, I've been avoiding this idea of culture, and I didn't think that culture was necessary into making us who we are. I thought of it as something that would hold us back, but when I came to here, it proved to me, my experiences proved to me otherwise. Culture is embedded in me, whether I like it or not. When I look at other people and what they're doing here, a lot of it to me seems irregular. It isn't to say that they're wrong or I'm right or the other way around, but rather it's to say that we've got to be aware of our biases, our perceptions, and my perception is guided by this idea of culture. Although I disagree with a lot of what Jordan Peterson stands for, there is this take that he once had said on a podcast that had really caught my attention. A man only reaches adulthood when he becomes aware of his own culture and transcends it. And so I've made it my mission to kind of achieve those interpersonal goals where I can get a sense of who I am in relation to my culture and transcend that. I do really like the symbol of the spiral, and it's not because I think we need to change the definition of what it means to spiral. When somebody comes to you and they say, "Oh, I'm spiraling," that should be a positive experience. The way I think of a spiral is that no matter how whirly or disorganized or messy the ride gets, there's always you on the inside waiting. There's always you present within that eye of the storm, that if it crumbles, you're gonna have to get back to yourself. If there is no self in there, then you're screwed. That's why you've gotta invest in yourself. When they say your body's in temple, yes, your body's in temple, and maybe it's also beyond just a temple, but also heaven. While I tend to be individualistic with my goals and really goal-oriented and often standoffish, something that I've been working on more is acknowledging the role that other people play in my life. I've just been talking about culture, and I do think that groups do play a role in forming who you are, and I think they play an integral role because you can't create meaning on your own, and you can't create meaning for yourself without having this sort of relativism involved. There's this really nice play that I liked reading earlier this year, introduced to me by my drama professor, and it was called No Exit. Three people are trapped inside of a room, and there's this sort of love triangle going on because one guy likes a lesbian, and the lesbian likes the girl who likes the guy, and it's a really interesting concept. But that's where this very interesting quote, "Hell is in other people," comes from. Most of the time, you have these people who are like antisocial, and they come at it, oh, other people are hell. I've got to be standoffish. I've got to be this Sigma lone wolf or whatever. Like you see these influencers be talking about, but hell isn't other people. And even Sartre made a comment on this, and many other dramatists have argued that people miss the point of what it means to be hell isn't other people. I do think that you need others to give you meaning. You gotta establish that sense of relativism. In the play, people are trapped inside of the room and they're experiencing hell because they don't have an accurate representation of who they are. There are no mirrors on that room, and they can't look at any mirrors or experience themselves. They rely on others to form their perceptions of their own self. I often find that usually when you grow up, you expect yourself to kind of like not make the same mistakes again. However, I've been noticing this year that I've been making a lot of the same mistakes that I've been in the past. I'm realizing that I'm revisiting these experiences because I haven't understood them fully. Maybe I lack spirituality, and this is also something that I'm working on exercising a little bit more, but I'm trying to get my best to get more in touch with spirituality. And what I'm noticing is that maybe the universe sends you these experiences so that you can learn from them because you haven't fully experienced them. You've let your ego get in the way of you understanding what this truly meant. And this is something that I've been thinking a lot about recently. Chase those interpersonal goals. Chase what's on the inside. Find your character, because I think that the self is infinite. Change your definition of what spiraling means. Be careful of who you are viewing on social media. Try to see layers to things. We humans have constructed meanings, societal norms and definitions and ideas all to make sense of our world. And why not we make delusions to also make sense of the world? Delusions are very much essential because they've guided our people to survive for the longest. I'm gonna cut that part out. I don't know, I just hope that if you're watching this, then you maybe kind of go back and reflect. You kind of like ask yourself, who am I? Who am I really? Kind of like strip yourself of as many elements as you think you have to yourself, and really think what essence is there. And I guess this kind of like concludes it. I would say just think about blueberry scones. Think about the layers there are to blueberry scones. And tell me if there are any good scones, because seriously, I've never had a good scone.